Hey guys. Hello, my babies. So, as you can probably tell by now, tonight is just going to be a little bit of a soft-spoken video. It's not going to be super up close in your face ASMR. It's going to be more just soft spoken, and just a hangout video between you and I. And definitely gonna get into some war stories tonight. If you don't know what my war stories videos are, I have I think 2 or 3 already made previously. It's been a long time since I've made one though, so you might have to scroll, or you know what, I'll link it down below. I'll link them in the description box, at least 1 or 2, so you get the idea of what this is about if you want to watch more. So, today's war stories are focused, at least the ones I can think of that I know I want to get into, are focused more on things happening around me rather than to me. And also they're pretty violent. So I want you to be prepared for that. If that's too much for you, that's completely okay. My war stories can get absolutely like mind-blowing, and I get that, and I'm totally okay with that. And if this is too much for you, girl, I'll see you on the next one. I totally get it. Sometimes talking about these things is even a bit much for me because a lot of these things happened at a really low point in my life, and I want to take just a second to talk about that. So, when I was with my baby's dad, that is really when I was on drugs heavily. So, and so was he. And the stories that I'm about to tell you, as dark as they are, a lot of them happened during this period of my life. And during this period, of my life, probably the end of 2010 to the middle of 2012, my life was shit. I was homeless with my baby's dad. We slept in an abandoned house all winter with nothing but a kerosene heater to keep us warm. I wasn't allowed inside my parents' house. I wasn't allowed inside his parents' house. I was just so lost and so beyond sick. And my life was just so low at that point. And a lot of times, some of these stories that I will eventually share with you guys. See, that's another thing. Y'all think I'm like very open, and I am to an extent, but there's also a lot of things that I haven't shared yet with you guys. And that's just because I'm not on that level of comfortability yet. And I'm also pretty ashamed of the things that I did in this time frame. I lived a crazy lifestyle. I lived a crazy lifestyle. I did a lot of drugs, and I lived the street life. So, I mean, let's just get into it. I'm not glamorizing this in any sense of the word. And hopefully you see that. Okay. So, I had a very good friend. Her name was Robin. And Robin is no longer with us. Robin passed away. And she was one of my best friends. She has 2 daughters, and one of them is 3 months to the day younger than my son. So he keeps sliding down. Like, can you stop that? Anyway, 3 months to the day younger than my son. And then she had a daughter that was 4 months old. To be honest, the reason that she overdosed and passed away was that she had been clean for so long during her pregnancy and then relapsed. And unfortunately, that's when a lot of addicts die, because they have no idea what they have and they have no idea what their tolerance is. It's a really bad combination. So anyway, she passed away. Oh my God. It will be 5 years. 4 years or 5 years? I can't remember, but the anniversary of her death is December 16th. So we're getting close to it. And her and I were very, very good friends. And we were both into drugs. We both lived that life. So her boyfriend that she was with is like somebody that is well known throughout town and well known with the cops. He's not a big favorite of the cops. So everyone knows who he is. For this video, we'll call him Dean. Dean had a good friend, and we will call him Bobby. Call him Bobby. And Dean and Bobby were good friends, and Robin was with Dean, and I had a crush on Bobby, but Bobby didn't really know that. But anyway, we were all at Dean's house hanging out, and Dean had just gotten a settlement. His son, it's a long story, but he had actually just gotten a settlement, and he got it in like different increments, and he was paying Bobby to do some painting because he had just redone his house. So we're over there, we're hanging out, and we're just getting high and doing random shit that we're not supposed to do. And all of a sudden, this guy comes to the door. And this guy is also well known throughout town. And his reputation throughout town is that he will shoot you and they will never find you. And so everyone's kind of scared of him. We'll call him Dick for 2 reasons. 1, it's close to his name, and 2, it fits him well. So we'll call him Dick. So Dick comes over and he is asking Dean to borrow $20. And because Dick smokes crack, and so everyone knew why he wanted the $20. And Dean just like wasn't coming off of it. Like he wasn't in the mood for Dick's shit. He just wasn't. So he wasn't coming off of it. And then for some reason, Dick looks at Bobby and he's like, don't you owe me $20 too? And Bobby is not the one. Bobby boxed when I did, and actually long before I did. And I had seen him box and fight and street fight, and he was just not one to fuck with. And he said, don't you owe me $20 too? And Bobby said, I don't have $20. I don't owe you $20. I'm not giving you $20. He said, if you've really got something to say about it, we can step outside. Dick pulls out a gun, points it at Bobby, and says, I don't fight. Pow. And fucking shoots him right in our fucking living room. Well, in Robin's living room. At that point, Dick runs out. He leaves. Dean comes running down the stairs like, what the fuck just happened? And like, Bobby's leaking. And he tells me, he's like, I think he shot my, and he's like, will you look? So he like pulls his pants down and I look. And it's like black and blue right next to his little business. I mean, it missed it by like that much. But anyway, he got shot in the leg, and we ended up taking him to the emergency room in Robin's like old beat up truck. It was such an experience. And that was the first time that I ever saw someone shot in front of me. And it was just like, it was so scary because it happened so quick, and like I had no idea what happened to lead up to shooting someone. Like it was $20. It was $20. With this dude's reputation, there was probably 10 people he could go take $20 from. Easily. He just wanted him to smoke. He wanted crack. And no one was coming off of it. That shit was crazy. And then, so that was the first story. That was the first experience of me seeing someone shot. And that was not the only time that I ever saw someone shot. And that was not the only time that I ever saw someone shot with Robin. So, this next story is also involves Robin. And this is when I was on house arrest. After I had my son, I relapsed. I relapsed when he was about 3 months old. And Robin was using too. But I was on house arrest because I had just gotten out of jail and then rehab. And I was on house arrest. And but I wasn't on GPS. Like the house arrest bracelet that they had me on, it only knew like whether I was close or I was far. It never knew like where I was at. It didn't have like a GPS. So, I mean, what it is just like a bracelet that fits around your ankle and a box that you plug into a phone line, and you have to stay so close to the box. So, anyway, she was on house arrest, but I was, and we were going to meetings because that was kind of the only chance I had to get out of the house because I was on house arrest. Like I said, I wasn't allowed to do much, and at the meetings, like I said, they didn't have GPS. All they knew was that I was gone during the time in the meeting, and I had a paper that I had to get signed at the meetings. And that's the only way that they knew whether or not I was at the meetings. So a lot of the time, Rob and I would go, and we would, I would put my paper in, like, they pass around a little basket for you to put a paper in if you need your paper signed, and you can pick it up after the meeting. So we would go and sit, and then I would, like, put my paper in, and we would get up and go take a walk or whatever. But at this point, like I said, we had both relapsed. We were both using pretty heavily, and I wanted to get high before the meeting was over. So we go outside the meeting. Well, okay, let me back up. We get to the meeting, and when we originally got dropped off, my dad dropped us off. When we originally got dropped off, when I found out it was a lead meeting, which is the kind where one person gets up and they tell their story, like how they got addicted through their addiction and their recovery. And I really, really like those meetings. So I thought, you know what, maybe we'll just sit through it, take a walk another time. So we get in there and we sit down, and I am not the type of person that likes to speak in front, like at meetings. So I was glad that I wasn't going to have to do that. So this guy gets up to the front, and he's the one that's going to give the lead. And when I tell you, this guy had the most monotone voice I've ever heard in my life. It was all one tone. There was no changing it. There was no dips. There was no, there was no anything. It was all one tone, just like this. And I started falling asleep. And one place that you don't want to nod out is an NA meeting full of recovering addicts. So I told Robin, like, let's go. And she was like, okay. So we left. And I told her, like, you know, I want to get high. So I called my dealer, and he came to the meeting, and he picked us up. And it was supposed to be wham, bam, done. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am type shit, you know? And he comes, and he picks us up. And I'll do what I want, pay him, get my stuff. I'm done, ready to go. And he says, well, I've got to make a play real quick down on the other side of town. And the side of town that he was talking about was the East End. And Robin and I, that was kind of our stomping ground. And I hadn't been down there for so long because I had been in jail and rehab. And I was like, okay, you know what? You know, we'll ride. So we ride with, we'll call him the dealer, AJ. We ride with AJ down to the East End. And we get to where we're going. And I know like 3 or 4 people that are standing outside. So I get out of the car while AJ sits there, and he's texting on his phone. So I'm assuming he's texting the dude he's meeting. He's going to meet him. Dude's going to get his stuff. We're going to get in the car. We're going to go. So I'm standing there talking to a couple of guys that I know and like telling them how I've been. Like, I'm not facing AJ. The car's behind me. And Robin is next to me. And all of a sudden, the guy that I'm talking to is going like this, looking over my shoulder. And at first, I was like, well, that's rude. You know, like, I'm right here, sir. But then I started hearing, like, elevated voices, like, yelling. So me and Robin turn around, and I see AJ arguing with this dude, and AJ like starts to get out of the car, and the guy like grabs the car door and pushes it shut. And as he does that with his left hand, and as he does that, he reaches in his back waistband and pulls out a gun, points it directly through the window, and for whatever reason lowers it to like along the door, and pop, 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 lights it up. AJ throws it in reverse, and like leaves us there. Bitch, I'm on house arrest. Like, so anyway, he leaves us. People are like pew, scattered like cockroaches. And so I told my friend I'm talking to, like, me and Robin gotta get out of here. I'm on house arrest, motherfucker. Like, it don't matter if the cops come and arrest nobody. Bet they arrest me. So we get in the car with this guy, my friend, and his sister, and they give us a ride back to the meeting. And we got back to the meeting in time. We still had like 20 minutes. So, and I always like I have to get there before the meeting's over, because I never wanted Dad to see me like getting dropped off. I wanted him to see me coming out of the meeting. So anyway, we get dropped off and we're sitting outside, and about 10 minutes goes by, and here comes this cop car. This cop pulls up, and it's a cop that knows me, and I know him, so like there's some great news, you know, like wonderful. And he's asking us like where we've been, tells me he's glad. First he tells me that he's glad I'm out, and tells me that I look healthy. He's glad to see me at a meeting. Asks me, what was this meeting about? What was this one about? And I said, without missing a beat, I said, oh, this was lead meeting, like where one person gets up and they tell their story. And he said, that's pretty cool. He said, have you been here the whole time? So at this point, I know that he knows I have not been here the whole time. And I saw no point in lying at this point. I just said no. And he asked us about what happened, and, you know, I didn't want to say too much because I didn't want to get anybody in trouble. I'm a lot of things, but a snitch ain't never been one. I've never told on anybody. And so I told him that. And see, the thing is like, there was only one cop. He came and talked to Robin and I both. And most of the time, he would have called another one to come, and they would have separated us and asked us our stories separately. So that way we wouldn't have time to like elbow each other and say like, well, that didn't happen or whatever. But I guess because he realized, like, for one, he thought I was doing well, and for two, he realized like I didn't have a dog in the fight because I didn't do anything wrong. I guess he decided to take my word for it. Stop pushing on the door. I guess he decided to take my word for it. And so I just told him that AJ gave us a ride. I needed a ride. He gave us a ride down there. And I didn't say where. I said he said he needed to talk to somebody really quickly. And he took us somewhere. I saw someone I knew, got out, started talking to them, and the next thing I knew, someone was shooting at AJ. Said I didn't get a look at him. I ran just like everybody else. Like, just, you know, a very generic statement. And it never amounted to anything, which was very, very cool of that cop. He could have easily put me in jail because they could have violated my probation for not being at the meeting, for being around the people I was around, for being at a whatever, like a situation where the cops were called. I could have gone back to jail for a lot. And Robin, he didn't give Robin a hard time either, which was really, like, it was just really cool of him, the way that he handled it. I really appreciated it. But it turned out AJ had gotten shot. Like, it shot him in the leg. So I saw someone else get shot. And it turned out it was over a counterfeit $20 bill. AJ said that the dude gave him a counterfeit 20. The dude said it came from the bank. Da 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 da. They went at each other. Turned out AJ was right. It was a counterfeit 20. But AJ, I guess when he left, he went and like took all his stuff, like all his, you know, all the drugs and stuff, and put them wherever his hiding place was, so that way like he could go to the hospital. And he did end up going to the hospital, but and they did end up catching the guy that shot AJ, but I don't think he got like a lot of time because he ended up pleading out. No one like testified or anything like that, so I think he ended up pleading out and getting like a minor charge. But still, it was just like, it was a very, very intense thing to see, especially when it was supposed to be something that was just like quick and easy, and I'm standing there talking to my friend, and then it's just like pop, 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 and like all of a sudden people are scattering, and there's just like, it's like, what is that noise? Stop. I don't know. Maybe it's like a cat or an animal or something. But anyway, so that was the second time that Robin and I saw someone get shot. And we didn't really realize that we saw someone get shot that time, but apparently we did. Let's see. We've got time for another one. Stop! I have a feeling it's more like a child. Anyway, so, let's see. I'm trying to think of a story that's like funnier. Okay. This is kind of it's a little bit of an intimate story, but it's funny. So, I dated, when I was like 21, I dated this guy. And he's the guy that I've told you guys about. He's the one that was a drug dealer, whatever. I dated him for a few months while he was out of prison before he went right back. But while he was out, we were together like every day. So we were staying at this really crappy Super 8 hotel. Excuse me. And every like weekend we would get a bottle of Grey Goose and just get like plastered. And so one weekend we got a bottle of Goose, and we had went swimming down at the pool in the hotel, like, because the pool was surprisingly nice for what the hotel was. And we went swimming, and like we were kissing, and we were just like all up on each other. So we go back to the room, and like on the way back to the room, we see all these guys that work construction, and I had on my bathing suit, and they were all like gawking, and so like I remembered it. And so we get back up to the room, and stop. So we get back up to the room, and we decide to, do our thing. So we start kissing, and we get into it, and like I was kind of drunk, so I got really into it, and like really into it. So anyways, the next morning we go to sleep, whatever. The next morning we wake up, and he usually would go down and get breakfast from the like what's it called? You know what I'm talking about, like the continental breakfast that they have in the morning at a lot of hotels. And he would go down to get breakfast for him and I in the morning. And the next morning, he got up and he went down to get continental breakfast, and he said when he walked in, this guy stood up and said, I heard you and your girl in your room last night. He said, I almost called the front desk. He said, but then I realized that y'all were just having a good time, and kind of like winked at him. And like all the construction guys were sitting there and kind of like, you know, like giggling to themselves. So I guess like the construction guys were like right next to us, and they got like a full on clear audio of what happened. And he said it's pretty crazy when I go down to like have breakfast and they give me like a standing ovation. It's like, yeah, that's true. That's kind of funny. But it was kind of embarrassing to me. Like, a bunch of construction guys like heard me, like, and not that they were construction guys, but like just the fact that a bunch of guys I didn't know heard me like getting off is kind of like, kind of grosses me out. But it's whatever. Anyway, I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. It's just a short little stories video. I made another one, and I'm not sure which one I'm gonna post. This one is definitely the shorter version. The other one is much longer. I talk a lot more, but we will see how it goes. But thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.